Hey guys, Electric DJ 45 here, and today I'll be reacting to the Season 1 content showcase for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'm super excited to watch this, and I think it's gonna be super cool. I'm very excited. Curious to see what they'll say.
Shortly. My name's Derek. Hello everyone and welcome to our Season 1 deep dive for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Throughout this show, we're going to be giving you a deep look at all the exciting new content that you have coming to the game very, very shortly. My name's Derek Brown, Community Manager here at Rocksteady, and joining me is Kane Sinopoulos, the slightly more important lead Community Manager here at Rocksteady as well.
Great to be here, thank you, Derek.
Awesome. So to start off this show, I'm going to be talking to Jack and Johnny about our new playable character coming to Suicide Squad. It's going to be the Joker, the clown prince of crime himself.
Shortly after that, I'm going to be talking to Sam to go into Joker's Elseworlds, the new environment that players will be able to get their hands on in Season 1. And then after that,
cool.
I'll be talking to
That's very
Adonis
sick.
to go through some of the shiny new gear and mechanics that are coming up as well.
And after that, we're going to be taking a look at some of the Battle Pass and store content we have for our fashion fanatics out there. Some awesome new outfits coming to the game, as well as plenty of other options for customization as well.
And once that's all done, we've invited our top content creators to come in so they can show us what they can do with the brand new Joker and in the brand new Elseworld.
Plenty to look forward to in the show and of course in Season 1 as well. But without any further ado, I think we should get into the rest of the action, get our devs in to talk more about the
Scarecrow
exciting
stuff looks
content
so
we
cool.
have coming in Season 1. So let's go to a trailer now for all the content coming in Season 1.
Oh, nice. Wait, is this a new trailer or is this the one that we've already done
Task
before?
Force X. Your orders are simple. Destroy Brainiac's operations, kill him, and retrieve the Joker.
To the hunt! Evil shall not escape my sight.
I think we've seen this one before.
Brainiac's back for another round, and he's going funhouse on us. At least buy me dinner first.
I want more!
Time to paint this town purple. The sky's the limit on who I can kill next. Here's my punchline.
I'll be messing episodes when the night. Hold my beer,
Yeah,
guys.
So that looks like that's... Wait, this is the Elseworld. But where that Ferris wheel was, that's gotta be like the Elseworld.
You're dead.
Black Manta. So cool. Yeah, that's the Elseworld variant version.
Here comes the Goon Squad.
I guess you'll fit right in.
That's pretty cool.
Welcome, both Johnny and Jack, to our brand new digs here in the Rocksteady studio, all Joker-fied up. But before we get into the brand new playable character himself, Jack, I want to get a little bit of an overview as to what we're going to be expecting from new playable characters.
I like
when
how
they
some
hit
like
each
the
and every
guns
season.
and like
The new characters, we have
gears
4 new
in the
characters
background.
coming. Each one is kind of a completely new playable character with its own completely unique traversal mechanics, own unique traversal attacks, whole new talent tree,
That's
and
interesting.
even, new legendary items that play specifically with that character's playstyle. So on a gameplay level, I think players are going to really enjoy learning to master each of those characters. But then also on a narrative level, each of those characters is kind of the route into
That's
the
crazy.
Elseworld that you're kind of adventuring in that season. I think players are going to really enjoy getting to know them, rescuing them, and learning to play with them in each season. It'll be a big appeal of each of these seasons for players.
And so if we are going to be rescuing this new version of Joker, how does that tie in with the story? How are players going to be introduced to this new version of Joker? And at what point in his villain mission is he at this point?
So the Joker that you'll get to know in season 1 is an Elseworld Joker, as you say. He's from an alternate universe. He's not kind of the prime Arkhamverse Joker. And you meet him at a point where, kind of parallel to the Squad Zone adventure in the kind of launch story, he's been part of a different Suicide Squad that was also fighting against Brainiac and lost.
Yes.
So he's been captured by Brainiac's forces. He's, got a bone to pick with Brainiac as a result. The rest of his squad was killed. He's been wounded and captured. So he comes in with that energy of, wanting to get revenge. And then in terms of where he is in his own story, he's certainly at a kind of younger and more inexperienced point than the Arkhamverse Joker you'll know. He's, got something to prove. He's a bit less Machiavellian.
Yes.
And he's a bit more kind of aggressive and
That's actually pretty
frantic
cool.
and energetic. And he's got a kind of theatrical, almost like a performer energy, like a sort of vaudevillain type kind of energy that he brings to combat and to interaction with the rest of the squad. So yeah, he's coming in with a different perspective, and I think it'll be fun for players to see how he interacts with the squad, who obviously have history with his kind of, Prime Universe counterpart. So they have some preconceptions of him, some of which might be true.
I want to know who was a part
some
of
which prove to
Joker's
be different.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, getting to learn that and getting to know about him, I think, will be enjoyable for players.
And so speaking
If
of
he had, like, a
preconceptions,
Deadshot
obviously
or,
the
like, a
Joker
Captain
is an
Boomerang,
incredibly storied DC character
etc.
at this point. And so when you're taking on a new version of him, as the writers have, I think, made a really compelling version of the Joker, how does that convert into gameplay, Johnny? How do you take this new version and build a traversal kit, a combat kit that fits in with the rest of the characters in the game?
So we run the city in a haphazard and chaotic way. It's almost akin to a Drunken Master style traversal, I consider it. You can be using it to have a violent explosion up into the air and then go and glide down as you then flip it over to a surfboard across a rooftop, knocking over enemies, and all of this chaotic carnage that he's causing just feels very Joker.
I think it's not only how you're traversing around the city, but how that also translates into combat. You're going to these incursion missions, the mayhem missions, taking the fight to Brainiac. What are some of the different kind of play styles and combat styles that we can expect to see from this new version of the Joker?
Yeah, so similarly, we wanted to try and extract the essence of Joker and convey that in his play styles. He's very much not one note. So these different facets of his personality, we try to put those across the talent tree as such, which makes him very deadly mid to close range. We have the Jester, which is very close range. It's all about crowd control, survivability, melee, killing things up close and personal. We've then got Firestarter, which, as it sounds, very much utilizes fire, burning, explosions, grenades, big booms, really just setting the world alight. And then we have Ringmaster, which is for the show-offs. Anyone out there who wants to spend more time in the air, killing things while airborne, looking fabulous while doing it, that is totally the style.
That's pretty cool.
We maybe
I like
have a
that.
little bit more design space to get a bit more technical, a bit more of a higher skill ceiling for the combat and the traversal of our characters, which Joker, I mean, for me at least, has been a lot of fun stringing all these different aerial combos together, moving around the city. There's so much room for expression, I think, in terms of how you're traversing around.
You launch with Joker, you've got a lot of forward momentum that you can kind of curve and bend around to go where you want to go. Similarly, you can
That's
shoot
pretty
when you're
cool.
kind of in the air with Joker, but you're always moving. And that ends up giving you some really high-scale opportunity moments where you can like launch over a rooftop. As you're flying over it, you can't arrest your
Is that a
momentum,
Scarecrow
but you can
pistol?
make use of it to shoot down on enemies, right? I think it's the same with
Yeah, I
Joker's new
think so.
traversal attack, which is kind of like a from the air. It's almost like an aerial bombardment, kind of directly down in a cone. And I think timing that well with Joker's traversal becomes a really interesting skill challenge
I love
where
that
you can kind of
explosion.
get
That really
a
like.
broad spread over a wide area or a tight spread on a small target
You
for
can go
more
far and
damage
fast
if you're
with that.
close to them. So getting all of that just right, I think the players are going to really enjoy that journey.
Awesome. Well, I, for one, cannot wait for the rest of our community to get a chance to play with the Joker and to try and master that new style of traversal and combat that he's going to bring to the table. And the place that they're going to be doing that is our new Joker Elseworld. The incursion missions, the mayhem missions for Season 1 will be taking place at this awesome new Joker-themed Elseworld. Jack, I'm going to say thank you so much for bringing us that update on Joker. Johnny, I'm going to ask you to stick around as Sam and Kane will be joining us very soon for this look at Joker Elseworld.
So you've met our first new playable character, the Joker. I've kicked Derek out for the time being, and I'm running the show. I'm joined by Johnny and Sam. So, Joker's Elseworlds. It's quite a bizarre and surreal environment that we're taking players to in Season 1. What's the story there, Sam?
Yeah, so each season brings with it its own Elseworld, with its own flavour, and this Season 1 is based around the Joker, the new playable character. In his reality, he was his last surviving member of the Suicide Squad. Brainiac has captured him and is obsessed with him, wants to find out what makes him tick. This has kind of backfired on him, though, and has infected the actual terraforming process. So instead of Metropolis being turned into this new Cthulhu version, it's now covered in crazy reimagining of Joker's world and his mind. Buildings are turned into big birthday presents. They're covered in wrapping paper. There's toy soldiers scattered all over the place. There's parade balloons in the sky. We even have some casino elements. There's poker chips, cards everywhere. And then eventually you'll get to go in the next episode to the Daily Cackle, which is a Joker-fied reimagined version of everyone's favorite newspaper headquarters, Daily Planet.
Johnny, what other changes should we expect to come to Metropolis in Season 1?
So on top of phasing in strongholds, Brainiac has also been analysing the squad's data, analysing their tactics, and he's taken that information and then he is altering the DNA of his troops to better serve him and cause you more problems. What this means is that enemies will be gaining episodic buffs and resistances to certain tactics and abilities, so the squad will have to keep evolving in order to stay one step ahead and manage this new threat. However, Brainiac is not as perfect as he thinks he is, and whilst bringing in this new DNA and his new improvements, he's also added in a backdoor with new vulnerabilities and new weaknesses. So players will have to play through and try and find out what are the pros and cons now of these new changes. So one example being that bombers might now suddenly drop more grenades reliably, or Batman and Fuse will now be susceptible to deep freeze. So it's finding these things out, and only by playing it and trying what works and what doesn't work, players will discover these new challenges.
So now that we've learned a bit more about this new Joker's Elseworld, what new challenges can players expect when they jump into it?
So the squad are in hostile territory here. This is where Brainiac is his most powerful, and this is where he's at his most dangerous. And for us getting to develop this was really exciting, coming up with new challenges for the players to play and to really experience. One way we're doing that is by changing up the mutators. So, and these really mix up the way players will have been playing with the game and how their abilities and how their gear sets work. One example is the all-new Me mutator, which just adds a resurrection mechanic for the enemies. So you kill them, they'll keep coming back. The only way to stop this, though, is you can counter them or shield harvest or poison them. So there are ways around this, but again, it's ways for players to take these systems and then put a spin on them.
That's going to be annoying.
We've also got new incursions for players to engage with. These ones have stripped out a lot of the activity elements, and they really focus on the beautiful art of killing things dead. So players can really have a lot more choice now of how they experience the Elseworlds endgame and how they want to push those mastery levels. So
buff that they have,
the missions they want to do, and using that to bring up their mastery level. We've also got a brand new feature in facilities. These are provided by Lex, and these act as limited or time-limited buffs for the squad. So they use them, they apply to the entire squad, and they really help turn the tide of battle. One example being the Diablo Blaze aura. So what this does is this applies to the squad, and this gives them this Diablo Blaze effect.
Oh, that's actually so sick.
So players can run up to enemies, set them on fire, and move around the area, and just setting fire to absolutely everything. So it's up to the squad then to really determine how close they get, and they have to balance then. Do they get up close and personal, or do they really try and defend themselves at the same time? So these are time limited. So the trick here is really popping them at the right time, being able to maximize damage output and not wasting them too early. These facilities are seeded across all of our Elseworlds maps. These are incursions and our new Mayhem mission, which has got a new boss fight. So all of these things here and all of these things is a lot to engage with in this part of this season.
Sam, Johnny, thank you so much for sharing what's coming in our new Joker's Elseworlds. Next up, I'm going to be joined by Adonis, who's going to come and talk to us about the new gear and some of the new mechanics that are coming in Season 1.
Nice.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. I'm happy to be here.
So we've got some exciting new upcoming changes to gear, new gear sets and builds in Season 1. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I sure can. So our shining star, or should I say shining villain, for our episode 1 gear set is none other than DC's Scarecrow. And his gear and weapons are all featured around
That's
his
so
specialty fear
sick.
toxins
That's
and
gotta be like
poisons
the tier
that.
3.
So his
Infamy set.
weapons have this thing called Mind Melt, where when you do a crit reload, it lets you build up a stack and lets you apply poison to your enemies. And he also has this thing called Shielded Mine on his shields, where when you get afflicted by those nasty snipers that stun you or the helicopters that freeze you, then you'll be able to get more shields from the enemies to help you bounce back. And we're also adding the new poison condition to the game. This does not only damage over time, but allows you to synergize with other items and get you other bonuses through different mechanics.
Nice. So if I got myself a set of tier 1 set of Scarecrow set,
Yeah.
how would that feel to play?
So the tier 1 set features an ability called Poisoned Mind. When you poison enemies, you get a poisoned mind, and you can spend that poisoned mind to do big shield harvest damage. That limit of that damage is like really high, by the way, so you can like really harvest them and well get your shields back to survive. So if you play the tier 1 set, you're gonna have a lot of poison enemies, a lot of shield harvestable enemies. So you're gonna be putting in an honest day's work at the farm, honestly.
Nice.
Nice. Great. So are there any other bonuses to playing with the full sets?
Yeah, so we're introducing something that we call episodic villain bonuses. So Scarecrow is the feature villain of this episode. If you play with his gear set, you will get extra bonuses for per tier, per item, actually. If you were playing with a different villain in a different episode, then it would go to that villain's gear set only, and Scarecrow would no longer be the active villain. So with things like this, Scarecrow tier 1, you would get damage reduction, critical hit damage, more shields, all the things that help you survive and really punish the enemies for just existing. So say bye to Brainiac's troops, basically.
Sick.
Nice.
Okay.
Sounds great. Do we have any other surprises coming?
Yes, we do. We have a whole new weapon manufacturer, Intergang, and they have weapons supplied by the new gods of Apocalypse themselves. And we interpreted that as futuristic weapons, basically. Very fast-firing guns that have a spread when they shoot, almost like a shotgun. I feel like they're going to make it to a lot of people's builds, honestly.
Any other iconic themed gear that's coming? Any more notorious weapons?
Yes, that's true.
Come on, give us a
Glad
new
you
one.
asked. Yeah, we have some new guns based on DC's Merlin.
Okay, Merlin, yeah.
Merlin is a very deadly assassin, so his weapons are very deadly accurate. And not only do they do massive critical damage, but they also allow you to debuff enemies on the crit, so you can ruin their day further. We also have Dr. Poison. Dr. Poison Maro's 2 injector is another some of our feature notorious weapons. And they have 2 modes. They have a normal mode where you just poison the enemies that you hit, and they have an alt fire mode where you do massive damage to any enemies that are poisoned and spread that poison further amongst Brainiac's forces. And that's not all. We have other
like-
items to make you a mind shark,
wait, let's
like
do this.
Black Manta. Other items to make you really lethal, like Reverse
Reverse
Flash,
Flash,
and
interesting.
even to make you really
Yeah,
spotty, like Polka Dot Man.
Sounds like
Polka
there's quite a
Dot Man
selection to
stuff's
choose
gonna be
from
good.
there.
There is.
Well, thank you, Adonis.
I bet you
There's so much
the
more that we could go
Scarecrow
into
and like the Dr.
gears and builds,
Poison stuff
but I think that's
or
enough
weapons
for
are going to
our
have like a
hosts to start
synergy
really
effect
crafting,
similar to like
some things.
Black
I'm
Mask
sure the
and
players
like
are going to be
Two-Face.
really thrilled to get their hands on all this shiny new gear.
Or like Two-Face and Bane weapons, you know? That's sick.
For this next section, I'm joined by Albert, and Jack is back again to take us through some of the awesome outfits that we have coming in this season. I've been taking a look, Albert, and I am absolutely loving what we have in store coming in the Battle Pass. So what can our players expect to see when Season 1 launches?
So the outfit family in the Battle Pass for Season 1 is Wayne Tech, and this will be available for Deadshot,
Wayne
for Harley
Tech.
Quinn, King Shark, and Joker. So
Oh, the
we
King
use
Shark
Wayne
stuff's
Tech
pretty cool.
because it's such a
the
staple
skin.
in the Batman universe. And with Batman out of the way, we wondered, what if Lucius Fox made some cool outfit for our squad? We fantasized with the idea of putting high-tech costumes, like the different paneling, the logos on their chest, the cowls with the glowing eyes. They essentially become anonymous symbols for the city. So that was the idea. People who have played the Arkham games, they will be familiar with the detective mode swatch. We also added another swatch that is completely black with red highlights to hint at Batman Beyond. And this outfit family comes
that's
with
so
head
sick.
variants, body variants, the enhanced reversal, which allows you to change not just the way you look, but also the VFX and the trails
Beyond.
of when you're moving, and tons of other color switches. So yeah.
I mean, King Shark in the armor looks really, really good. You can sort of imagine
it looks
Shark
sick.
leaning over rooftops and growling about being the knight, you know? So I enjoy that energy.
Awesome. But aside from the outfits that are going to be contained within the Battle Pass, a lot of our players want to know, how's it going to work? What can they experience in the Battle Pass when it launches in Season 1?
So there's a free track of the Battle Pass that's available to everyone, and that will have some of the Wayne Tech family that we just discussed in there. And then there's also other things in that Battle Pass, like, you know, you've got emotes, you've got banners, you've got other kind of customization options for your character and your kind of profile as well. But then there's a premium track, which you can buy in the store and unlock, you know, additional rewards for progressing through the Battle Pass. You can make that purchase at any time, so it's one of those things where you can progress on the free track if you want, and then later, if you've reached level 40 in the Battle Pass, and then you go into the store and buy it, you'll get all the rewards from 1 to 40 that you'd already earned, right? And that would include the full Wayne Tech family with lots of those color swatches we talked about, outfits for King Shark, for Harley Quinn, for Deadshot, and for the Joker. From the Wayne Tech family, plus a whole bunch of other new cool stuff.
Emotes kind of
poses,
crazy.
lose poses, rival taunts, emotes, you know, all that kind of good stuff. And then it also includes 1,000 Luther coin, which you can use to either buy more stuff in the store or put towards the next Battle Pass, so you kind of have that choice as a player. I think we've set it up in a way that's really fair to players, whether they want to spend money or not, whether they want to spend money now or later.
Yeah,
nice.
That's fine. We just want people to enjoy the game and get access to the cool outfits we're making for them.
We have some very nice new outfits that we have coming in Season 1. Bit of a downgrade technologically, I think it's fair to say, when compared to the Wayne Tech outfits, but I think just as cool in terms of how they look.
One of the Rocksteady favorite families is the Super Zeros, which is essentially how would the squad turn themselves into the Justice League by just finding basic materials like cardboard boxes, strings, food tins, bean bags, you know, rolls of paper, stuff like that, just to make something that looks ridiculously fun. This family is for Joker, who comes as Batman, Captain Boomerang, that comes as Flash, Harley Quinn is as Wonder Woman, and then King Shark as Superman.
Interesting.
We also have the enhanced traversal customization, which, you know, changes the trails to be like glittery.
I love the King Shark one. It's so great.
There are a couple of other ways, or a couple of other outfits, I should say, that can be earned in Season 1.
Yeah, so there are some completely free color variants, swatches, that you can earn for Joker, much like in the launch game, just by playing through absolutely free. Just play the game.
Riddler crap.
Fantastic, and play the game. I'm sure our community will when Season 1 launches very soon. And also, a few people who played the game were a few of our favorite content creators who we got to sit down and play through an incursion mission with all of them playing as the Joker, showcasing his traversal, his combat, his outfits, the new gear that we have as well, an amalgamation of everything that we've talked about in this show. So take a look as we take down an incursion mission with the full Joker mission.
Nice.
Hey guys, my name's Jarv. I'm a full-time content creator covering pretty much every looter shooter going, and you may recognize me from some of the previous Insider episodes, as I was part of a very small group of creators that got early access to the game. The first build that you can see here is what we've called the Poisoned Harvester. This build revolves around poison, as well as harvesting and countering your enemies to spread that poison. And poison is a key part of Scarecrow's infamy set, which will be used as a primer when it comes to activating some of the awesome talents. Now, to get the most out of this set, we've equipped a full Tier 1 Scarecrow infamy set. This will give us bonus critical hits and apply poison on enemy hits. And if you kill poisoned enemies, this also triggers Poisoned Mind. This can stack up to 10 times and last up to 30 seconds. And each stack of this will increase your chances of triggering enemies to become shield harvestable from poison damage by 5%.
It looks like it's
Whilst that sounds like a small amount, this is actually on tick and not on the initial application of poison. So by applying poison to a huge group of targets, you will actually see some huge damage numbers. And this build also harnesses Dr. Poison's Maru 2 Injector, which is a notorious auto rifle. Enemies hit with this weapon become poisoned, making it a very easy applicator and primer to triggering the infamy set. I also paired this with the Epidemic Pistol, and this is really to make the most of the talent, as countering a poisoned enemy has a 50% chance of spreading poison to all enemies within 30 meters. And if you can do that as a critical counter, this will switch to a 100% chance. Alongside that, we have the Rotten Feast, which is a legendary flail, which is Joker's melee weapon. This will increase the chance of putting poisoned enemies into a harvestable state by 50%, and harvesting poisoned enemies will drop 100% more shield. And finally, the Harvest Express, which is a legendary lucky charm. This is where melee hits on an enemy consume 20 combo, but it will make all enemies within 15 meters harvestable. As you can see, this is incredibly rewarding, and by having overcharged overshields, it will keep you in the thick of the action and all your enemies begging for mercy. Now, Joker is fun, wacky, and has some hilariously fun builds. We also have the Slow-Mo Crit Clown. This one specializes in slowing down your enemy, juggling them, and prioritizing crit damage. This one's going to prioritize the Great Suspender melee weapon, where melee hits put enemies within 10 meters in slow motion. And we've also paired that with a notorious grenade called Black Mask's Target Priority. So this is where your grenade does no damage, but instead causes enemies hit by it to get launched in slow motion whilst taking 200% more damage for 30 seconds and become targeted by enemies afflicted by Venom Frenzy within 200 meters. Now, by juggling our enemies using our melee weapon and grenade, we're going to use the Turkey Shoot shotgun. Now, this firearm does 250% increased critical hit damage, and when enemies are in slow motion, you get 100% crit hit chance against them. And to finish off this build, we have the Magic Number, a legendary neck bomb, and when you juggle an enemy, the enemy explodes and hits all enemies within 25 meters, and enemies hit by that explosion either become poisoned, put into slow motion, or become harvestable. Now, this build alone creates many avenues to juggle your enemy, whether that's sliding through them by gliding on rooftops, using your melee weapon or grenade. They all unlock high crit chance and crit damage options and make for a very fast, fun and snappy build. So as you can see, there's a lot of build diversity, and the biggest question you have isn't just the build you're going to use, but who are you going to drop from your squad when it comes to trying out the Joker.
Hello, I'm Abrax, a massive looter shooter fan and a content creator for the genre over at youtube.com/@thatabrax. And welcome to a look at the newest character on his way to Suicide Squad Killer Justice League, the Joker. We've been given the chance to get hands-on with the character early and test out a few builds in one of the new incursions coming with Season 1, Laugh Riot. The first build I have to try out is the aptly named Burn Baby Burn. This build takes full advantage of the Joker's love of fire and explosions, using a collection of notorious items and talents to make sure that if it isn't ablaze, it soon will be. The build combines new notorious items like the Polka Dot Man's Spotty Explosion, which is a next level cluster grenade, with each of the clusters having a 50% chance to spawn more polka dots, making this a great way to spread Diablo Blaze over a massive area. Add in the Joker's Temper and High Crimes talents, and you're getting an additional 50% damage to burning enemies, and firearm kills on burning enemies spawn grenade ammo. Top this off with the Heat Wave Molten Skin shield mod for survivability through that 90% damage reduction when you burn a new enemy, and you're in for a pretty good time. For me, the Polka Dot Man's Spotty Explosion grenade is a must-have for Season 1. This grenade is all kinds of chaotic in the best kind of way. Next up, I get a chance to play with the new Tier 1 Scarecrow Infamy set, the Poisoned Mind, with a build nicknamed the Maru Poisoner. The goal with this build is to apply as much poison to as many enemies as possible, then reap the rewards of the Infamy set using a few extra notorious items to give the set a bit of a boost. Starting out using the Dr. Poison's Maru 2 injector to apply poison on hit, tagging as many enemies as possible, then getting kills on poison enemies to start stacking Poisoned Mind, which thanks to the 2-piece bonus increases the chance of poisoned enemies to become shield harvestable per tick of poison. This then opens up the chance to get stuck in with the Mad Hatter's 3-leaf clover melee weapon, to start smacking enemies around, doing huge damage to harvestable enemies, with the 3-piece bonus of the Tier 1 Infamy set giving us an extra 50% damage to shield harvestable enemies, per stack of Poisoned Mind. You can see with this build how the game loop begins to develop where you're poisoning enemies and then swooping in to finish them off with a shield harvest. And if I want to spread that poison a little bit further, I can swap to the legendary assault rifle Epidemic, which has a 50% chance to spread poison to all enemies within 30 meters on a counter. This goes up to 100% if I manage to get a critical counter. Unlike the first build I tried out, the Maru Poisoner doesn't use the effect it applies as its main source of damage, but instead uses poison as a type of primer, setting you up to string together some hard-hitting shield harvest attacks. I have to say, I am a fan of the new notorious assault rifle Dr. Poison's Maru 2 injector. Applying poison on hit is a solid and reliable way to apply poison at a range. Plus, its secondary fire, giving you an extra 250% crit damage to poisoned enemies, makes stacking Poisoned Mind a breeze. I have to say, I've had an absolute blast playing the Joker, and a massive thank you to Rocksteady for letting me get hands on with the character and taking him for a spin early. I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of crazy builds the community comes up with when this guy goes live with Season 1. Now let's get back to Derek and Kane on the couch. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, guys, for lending us your sick Joker skills in that awesome run-through of an incursion mission. Cannot wait to jump into it in just a few days when Season 1 launches. But with that, we're all done taking you through the content that is going to be coming in Season 1 with our new playable character in the Joker, the new Joker-themed Elseworlds gear, all playable for free for owners of the game, as well, of course, as the awesome cosmetics that are going to be coming to the game in Season 1.
Yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. That's all we have for the time being, but we look forward to seeing you in Joker's Elseworlds soon.
We'll see you
Take
there.
care.
That was pretty good. I'm pretty excited. I noticed that let's see, I noticed that I don't know, it seemed like I don't know what kind of difficulty those two content creators were playing on at like the difficulty of those incursions, but it seemed like the poison stuff wasn't really doing a lot of damage. Or maybe it was, I don't know. When I play, I don't have like the numbers on. I just kind of go by I think I just go by, wait, do I have the numbers on? I actually don't know. Maybe I do, and maybe I just kind of ignore them. But I definitely know by like the health bar. I pay attention a lot to the health bar, but anyways, seemed like it wasn't doing a lot. So curious to see how the poison stuff works. I'm not a big fan of like the damage over time stuff, especially in this game. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just curious to see how it works because I had that one perk on Deadshot with the bleed. Like a perk on, I forgot what it's called, but I felt like that just wasn't really doing anything. Maybe it was, but I'm curious to see how this poison stuff works out. I'm thinking about making either a Deadshot or like a Harley Quinn Scarecrow thing. I might give it to Deadshot. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. But I'm definitely gonna play around with it and see what happens. And I'm super excited. It comes out March 28th, and I saw something on Discord that it's gonna launch 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I could be wrong, but double check that. But I'm definitely gonna play it March 28th. I'm gonna probably after this I'm gonna grind out some of those Raising Hell missions and make my Prometheism. No, what's that? I forgot. I found out what it was called. I called it Lex Points. It's not Lex Points. I thought they were Lex Points, but they're not. It starts with a P, obviously, but I think it's like Prometheum? Yeah, Prometheum Points. I think that's what it's called. I'm surprised I don't remember what it's called. I always just call them Lex Points, because you put them in and Lex is the only one who talks to you about them. Like, I don't know.